What is happening in this matrix? Do you feel like you're watching a movie? I know that I do. In this energy update, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what is happening. We're going to talk about maybe some possible ways to surf these energies. If you're new here, my name is Debbie Dubois. Welcome to my channel. On my channel, we talk about spiritual awakening, we talk about empowerment, and we also talk about the new love relationship blueprint. Well, I wish that we had an ability to do videos from the shower because if we did, I think this video would probably have come out a lot sooner. I've had so much information coming at me and I've been digesting it. And I've been, for those of you who have followed my channel, you'll notice that I'm putting out a ton of zodiac videos. It has been just something that's lighting me up. And because I've been so focused in working in that area, all of this other stuff that's been going on has been extremely intense and very hard for me to pinpoint. And so it wasn't until this morning that I was in the shower. I was actually planning on shooting two Zodiac videos. And it was like my higher self started saying, okay, these are the bullet points of what you need to talk about, which are on my notepad here. Um, because I had been consolidating this information. And yeah, it would be really nice if there was a way for me to do videos from the shower. I would put out so much information. All right. So, first, I want to say that the last energy update I did was July 2024. It felt like yesterday. I am not kidding you. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's been that long since I've done an energy update. Are you kidding me? So, but I went and I reviewed it and I was looking at it and I realized that in that video, as ashamed as I felt at the time, it was very uncomfortable. See, it's very uncomfortable for me to put stuff out there like this. I was talking about ships in the sky. Well, what happened in December? We had ships in the sky. And I remember actually saying to my viewers, I was like, you're gonna be like, do I go to the grocery store? Do I go to the gym? There's ships in the skies. And it was so funny to see videos coming out of New Jersey saying, I don't know if I should go outside. They're flying all over. So, I think in doing that, what I realized is that it's very difficult when we've got so much information coming in to know what to say, when to say it. But this is definitely a time where I felt very called to speak about how I'm seeing things, because one of the things that's been happening in this awakening process is I have become more and more aware of actually what's happening. So as I'm going through circumstances, it's extremely uh what am I trying to say? Vivid. And it's so much, but I feel like a lot of what I go through might be super helpful to people. So, first of all, I wanted to say that we kind of at this point in time with everything that's happening, it's like we have two different worlds emerging. We have those of us who have been awakening to all the stuff that's happening and um and just the awakening crowd. And then we have people that have sort of taken a disempowerment path. And they're not only are they hearing stuff from media and maybe in social media, they're in an echo chamber with their friends. So, I think every one of us is walking between this world of awakening and then also being around people that maybe aren't as awake as we are. And in a way, we almost feel like we're in a separate reality. Um, and we're kind of wondering like what's going to happen. But if you have family and friends that are still like buying the old narrative, they're still in the disempowerment chamber. It's like I know that I found myself having to come up with coping skills. Like, how do I describe to people like I'm not going into a polarized state? there seems to be these two worlds, and I seem to be floating somewhere in the middle to where I can see with a perspective that is not polarized. And I realized how I'm doing that. So I want to share that, which is the way I'm viewing everything as it comes in is that I'm watching a movie. And I know a lot of truthers and people that have been awakening have heard the saying, grab your popcorn, we're watching a movie. But how this has really helped me remain calm, objective, and also to help other people around me that are getting panicky about certain things. Oh my God, the whole world's falling apart. What I've been saying is that I'm watching this movie unfold and there's these characters and they're really colorful. And if you think about when you watch a movie, or even better yet, think about soap operas going way back. Soap operas would have this character, and then all of a sudden they'd have to leave the show, and another character would come in. The character then became really obvious that oh, it's just a character. It's not that person. I started tracking that with everything that's happening because there's so many strong feelings about the characters on the stage. And I'm talking about characters on all sides. I mean, the people that were saying they're evil and the people that they're power hungry and they're trying to take us down a road of transhumanism and chips in the brain. And we've got some very definitive ideas about the motivations behind some of these characters in the movie. But what I'm trying to look at is I'm trying to look beyond the characters. I'm trying to enjoy the characters like you do in a movie. I mean, who doesn't love a super bad guy, the villain, you know? And you know that no matter what their motivation is, they're not going to win in the end. That's kind of how I feel about things because I know that we are winning. The light is winning. So I don't have any worries about that. So keeping that perspective as you watch this movie and you watch the characters, it becomes more about being driven to see what is the plot line that is unfolding. So I almost think of it as all right, so we've got all of this information coming out. And it's like, this is I want to say the awakening process is very well orchestrated. It is intended to move us through a period of time very quickly and wake people up very quickly without breaking their brains. Now, some would argue there are brains that are broken already. I gotta say, I did just hear about um, a place where you can go and break stuff and I was like, "What?" There are places where people can go and break stuff. That is how crazy some of this has gotten, and you're thinking, "Is that person's brain completely broken?" Well, that has yet to be seen. But what we have to do in this process of awakening is get people from, being completely asleep to being awake. And those of us who have come in as forerunners, or those of us who have been awakening for a long time or have been awake since we've been here, we kind of get where this storyline is going. We know that we have to get everyone to a place where they understand that they are creator beings, where they step into their power. Um, and so the way I feel this whole plan has been designed is to give us so much information. I think of it as a film where we're getting a frame here, a frame there, a snapshot there, and different people are receiving different frames of the movie. And it depends on what they don't know or what their soul needs. Um, but there's no way that we can possibly watch the entire movie without our brains breaking, especially the people that are, that have been really in a disempowered state. So, what I've noticed is happening is that there's just a total accelerant, a complete, I want to say an acceleration. I almost feel like gas is being poured on the fire that has accelerated things in blocks of time. So, I've been having conversations with some of my circle, and we're talking about, like, for example, things that are being given to us now are being given to us 1 day, 2 days, a week max. And I was thinking about that, and I'll be very specific. Right now, as I'm recording this, we've had a lot of plane crashes happen. So, part of me was like watching people predicting, oh, this is just them trying to get us to be afraid of flying. And that's possible. But, I had a friend of mine that was saying, well, none of these seem to be really related. Maybe it's just an energy of driving up fear around flying, which is, of course, this lack of control. And people have fears of flying. The more I thought about it, though, I realized that this has been going on for a while. I mean, from the storms that we had come through, first we had North Carolina and then we had Milton. I mean, literally part of a state is wiped off the map. And then we've got other, storms coming in. And, we wake up to weather manipulation. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, are they just going to wipe us off the map? And then it stopped. And it was like, okay, I mean, it didn't stop. In all fairness and all due respect, there are people that are walking that nightmare. That is their snow globe for whatever reason. And so they're dealing with that. But I started thinking about Lahaina and the torching that went on there. And we thought, oh, secrets are coming out about 15-minute cities, or there's underground things and people just vanished. And how come the numbers haven't been, shared? Has anyone ever still heard how many people vanished out of Lahaina in Hawaii? And then we have the fires in California. And listen, I'm not saying, like I said, everyone is dealing with that snow globe, but on a global level, not so much. It's a flash in a pan. It's like, boom, this happens and it goes away. So what I started to realize is that more than likely, maybe even by the time this video goes live, the plane crashes will stop. And that made me, I'm chilling on this, that made me understand that there is a process going on here that is multifaceted. Number one, people are being reached with their fears to face their fears. And, like, for example, I do not like flying. I love flying. Okay. No, I'm not schizo. No, but I don't like the fact that, it gets bumpy, and I don't like the way it makes me feel. But I love to fly. I love when the airplane takes off and I'm like, woohoo, this is so much fun. And absolutely love to get places faster. But I'm not alone, okay? Everyone's gripping, or let's have a shot of something or whatever. A lot of people don't like to fly. So this stuff is coming up, but it's coming up quickly. Again, it's this accelerated movie. So I'm sitting there thinking about this and I'm thinking, okay, COVID. COVID was an accelerant. It made us face our fears, right? Face our fears. But what interestingly enough happens is that sometimes it helps you face your fear if you walk through it. And then other times it makes you double down. So in this way that I'm seeing a two-world split, it really is, I want to say I see it as being temporary, but with this two-world split, you've got those of us who are like, yeah, okay, nothing. You just throw it at me. Come on. And no matter what you got, it ain't gonna budge, right? Because we've been through so much. But then you've got other people that are doubling down and they're becoming more and more and more disempowered. So it's just a very interesting dynamic. Um, at COVID, that was a slow walk of fear. So we got 2 years, 3 years, is it 5 years? I can't even remember. I guess it was 2020. So that's four solid years. The 2 weeks of plane crashes. Is it going to take 2 years of plane crashes for us all to face our fears? No, I don't think so. Um, there will be people that will decide, yeah, like me, now might not be a good time to get on an airplane just because why risk it? I don't need to. It's not something I have to do. But the people that have to fly, they're having to think about it. Maybe they don't think at all about it. So, I just want to say that this is all about the intensification, the acceleration of getting us from this space where we're sleeping to this place that we're awake without our brains breaking. So we've been seeing it in 2025, haven't we? Oh my gosh, just get on X and scroll through. Every day it's something new. And it's big. That's what's so funny. And yeah, what I find kind of amusing is when Kash Patel got into office, a bunch of truthers are like, yes, day one, here come the JFK files, blah, blah, blah. And it's been like a couple days, and everyone's like, oh, he's not going to do it. He's not going to release it. They said they're going to do this. They're not doing it. And it's like, we have become so prepared for, day one, this happens, boom, it's done. um, it makes me think of something that I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was talking about a really interesting perspective, and that is the clean slate. She had seen that we were given a clean slate, and this is what was going to determine how we moved forward. And because we have clean slates, we have this ability to, well, no, what's happening is at a universal level, the consensus, whatever consensus there has been around particular subjects, it's a stroke of a pen. It's happening. And what I find fascinating is it's not some of the really huge issues, maybe, but we're getting some consensus on certain things. And when we're getting consensus on certain things, it's a stroke of a pen. Boom, it's been changed. Now, I will say this, not everyone is on board with the stroke of the pen. But it doesn't mean that the consensus isn't with the stroke of the pen. We did have a vote. This was a popular vote, and it was an electoral college vote. So even if it was only by 20 people, the majority voted in a particular direction. They want to change. They want to change from the structure. We won't get into whether or not you're going to get the change or not, or whether it's going to be a change you didn't anticipate. I'm not here to talk about that. But what I am saying is that there were things that people voted for, whether they were going to get them or not, and the things that became consensus. What is interesting is there's consensus on both sides of the aisle on certain topics. And I'm going to give you a specific example. I don't know many people that wouldn't agree that 250-pound masculine man should not be on a sports field, court, or whatever with women. And so it doesn't matter what your political leanings are, there's a very small segment of the population that wants to inflate that is, taking away people's identity because of gender identification and things like that. I don't think that people, well, we can get into that too, but I think that everyone saw that. Well, guess what? Stroke of a pen. No more men in girls' locker rooms. Specifically, I heard about, girls that were in a locker room. This is someone I know whose child was literally dealing with the situation, and the man would stand up and his junk is standing right in her face. Doesn't matter if he identifies as a woman, he's got masculine parts in girls' faces. And that's just, who is going to say that that's okay? Consensus, let's sign on the dotted line. So where there has been extreme polarity, we are now seeing the stroke of the pen. Now, listen, gender identification, I understand why there are people that are trying to find out who they are if they don't fit in with the standard sexual identification. But when it comes right down to it, to get so confusing, the mass majority of people, listen, I talk about divine feminine and masculine all the time in counterparts. That is my main stay. So So it is very difficult to talk about that because you have masculines, you have feminines, you have men that are more feminine, you have masculines that are you have feminine that are holding more masculine energy. This doesn't have anything to do with gender. It is an energy. And so there's a lot of confusion around it, uh, 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 that I gender stuff. But most of us agree you're born with a particular kind of junk or you're not. And that's the simple way of identifying whether you go pee in this room or in this room, just to make things more clear. Stroke of a pen. You see what I'm saying? It's not a judgment on people that have gender issues, but it is what the general John Q public is calling for. When there is consensus, it's just changing. The vast majority of people right now are looking for that accelerated information. We were kind of talking about how, it's like boom one day, boom the next day. I mean, we're talking the Federal Reserve. I don't even know if I don't think it could have possibly been audited yet. But I mean, are we getting rid of our income taxes? Is there gold at Fort Knox? JFK files are out, but there's stuff I don't know if it hasn't been released completely yet. Of course, we've got the Epstein files. Uh, so there's this tremendous push for this release of information, and that's all over social media. But what's interesting is that there's something going on in the background that not everyone is really tuned into, and that is the global level. So we have a lot of global things that are going on. I was having a conversation with Hamish, and those of you who have followed my channel for a while, you know that Hamish Bartholomeus and I get together and we have some pretty interesting conversations. Our conversations, we kind of went in our own fact finding direction. So we're always in touch, but we don't always get into deep conversations. Well, those conversations have started up, and we will be putting out a video very soon talking about some of this stuff. So you're going to want to, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, that right there would be a good reason to do so right now, because those conversations are just mind blowing. I enjoy watching them after because Hamish is just so incredibly able to articulate. uh, he's got some of the highest perspectives that I've seen, fascinating conversations that we have. But he and I were talking, and he was, making me aware that yes, while everyone is looking at the immediate stuff, and really, I want to say a lot of the truthers or people that have been awake for a while, I think they're suffering from a little bit of fear and anxiety that this is just one big dream and it's not going to happen. It's like, oh yeah, where's our information? But what he reminded me of is the stuff that's going on at the global level. So at the global level, we have I'm not going to get into too much detail because I can talk about this with Hamish, but he was saying that you have America, USA, and then you have Russia working more in tandem together. And we've got a lot of posturing going on where Europe is becoming like, I don't want to say the nemesis, but we know where all that corruption is, and the holdouts of not wanting to things to come to light. So you're talking about the World Economic Forum and the World Trade Organization and the Paris Climate Accords. And so, all of these things that America, that the US is pulling themselves out of, there's so much happening at the global level that we forget. If you're like me and you're watching everything come out like a fire hose, I'm forgetting, oh my gosh, there's so much more to it. And forget things that might be happening at the cosmic level in the background. There's all that information, it's funny. I was waiting when we saw the ships in the sky and all those little lights. I was really waiting for disclosure of who's here with us, who is working with our governments. I know who's working with our governments, and I think many of you that are watching this, you understand the cosmology, the exopolitics that are involved in this. Where is all that information? I haven't seen any of it. But it's interesting because when I was looking at this a while ago, we were talking, my circle, we were talking about the fact that, there were certain things that had to come to light. First of all, the technical intelligence and the acceleration of that, which is the nature of the reality that we're in. I will talk about that in a little bit. But then we were going to be looking at the um the God realm, which in a way we're kind of dealing with that now because we're dealing with people. I want to say it doesn't matter what their intentions are, but God realm level stuff is when people are trying to be the hero. They want to be the hero. They have their agendas in place. They really want you to buy into their agenda, and they're looking for adoration. They want to be like, yeah, I'm the person that brought this in, and look at me. I'm like one of the Marvel characters. That's the God realm. We're seeing a lot of that right now. So, but what I was looking at with the God realm stuff is that this is where watching a movie comes into play, is that it doesn't matter what these people's agendas are. It's like when you're watching a movie, you know that the bad guys got these agendas, right? I want to put a chip in your brain. I'm going to say, and this is not a judgment, going to Mars. I don't really want to go to Mars, Elon. I don't. It doesn't thrill me. I'd rather stay here and have a beautiful planet that's not red rock. I keep thinking, why is he wanting to get to Mars so bad? But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what people's agendas are. I am watching what they're doing and what impact they're making on the overall. And the thing that is amazing is that no matter what people's agendas are, the universe is in charge right now. The universe, the being that created this universe. I'm not talking about God realm stuff. God realm is all ego manufactured. There's a lot of God manufactured stuff that is not true source. And I'm not talking about the creator of all that is and everything that is. There's a creator of this realm that we're in right now. And that creator had some help, and this whole disempowerment chamber, it's ending. We're not doing this anymore. Everyone can kick and scream and they can say, I want to go to Mars, and I want to have this empire and this kingdom, and no, we want to keep playing with the gods, and whatever you want to say. It is not happening. This universe has been corrupted. It has been captured. It went way further in the game than it was intended, and it stops. It stops now. And that is why this whole awakening process is coming out, because what is the truth? Everyone, including you that is listening to this right now, where all of us are creator beings. We've simply forgotten. We put a paper bag over our heads. We said, let's see what happens when we decide I'm not a creator being. I don't have any power, and I'm going to let other people have power over me. That's what happened. And so this awakening process that you're seeing right now is in full acceleration. And where does it end up? How does this happen? I don't know. I'm just along for the ride with the rest of you. I tend to vote for lots of cosmic energies coming in. Those cosmic energies are blasting us all. It's helping us to wake up. Why do I believe this? Because it's happening to me. When it's personal and it's happening to you, nothing else can convince you except your own personal experience. So, on that note, there are things that I want to talk about, but I think I'm going to save AI for another video. I have a lot to say about AI, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a video I do by myself. Hamish and I are going to have a conversation about all of this stuff. So please, you're going to want to join that, because he adds such a level of fascination to everything. The other thing that I really want to talk about And because the reason why I'm saying this is I really feel like I want to start going in towards surfing this from a personal level because we've just hit, the main core of I think what my inner being has really been prompting me in terms of doing this energy report. This is really about you. This is really about us at the individual level. We're looking at it through our own personal lenses. And so when we talk about what happens at the global level, um, it's kind of like a projection. We're seeing the pieces of what's happening at the global level from our own perspective, our own lens, what we need to grow, what we need in order to awaken pieces of our soul or bring us up in consciousness. And I've been seeing some real changes that have been happening to me. So I want to talk about that. But the other thing that I did want to touch on that I have a feeling we're probably going to talk about this in the video with Hamish is what's going on at the financial level from a global standpoint. We've got a lot of stuff that's coming in and changing. And, that's one of the things that I've been watching. So I just was kind of touching on it, feeling into it to see if there was anything about that that I wanted to touch upon. Things are not going the way a lot of us thought it would. I mean, we thought we were in a crypto bull run and everything's just gone. And I think that again, it can't all happen at once, people. So if there's anyone there that's got XRP like me, you know, in other cryptocurrencies, you just have to understand that even though these chart makers and these brilliant people that can show you, well, this is historical data. Yeah, how far does that go back? But everything that they've been saying isn't happening. And I'm kind of getting a little chuckle about it because even though I do have it, and boy, it would come in handy, um, it's uh it's not gonna happen the way people think because there's a grand symphony going on here. The timing of everything is just, I want to say, this is source, God, universal creator in action right now. And it's at the movie theater right now that you're in. And you're going, when can I get out of this theater? um, all right, let's move this whole update to a more personal level. And what is it that has helped me? It's so interesting. I've had a few moments where I've really needed to gain clarity. And there have been days more often than not. And I'm just saying this because I'm wondering if you're relating to this and if you're feeling this as well. When so much is happening, it exhausts you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't. I can't just like, I can't go through another Groundhog Day. I'm so tired. I don't feel like doing anything. Um, I actually got sick for, I don't know, 5 days and I had to miss the gym and I got all off schedule. And then I got sleeping, which I hadn't done in a long time. And I was like, oh, I could just keep sleeping. And then, then you start scrolling and you're like, "Oh my gosh." So, with all of this energy that's going on, how do we manage this? What are some ways that we are naturally being given? Because that's what I wanted to say is that what I'm noticing is that I'm not coming up with these techniques and tips, go do this and go do that. I'm noticing natural progression in coping skills. And I guess I'm sharing this with you because I'm very interested in finding out how many of you are on the same track. Because I think that this is part of the awakening process. And I think it's part of the tools that we've been given during this acceleration so that our brains don't break. So, I want to ask you about some of this. Um, I found myself really starting to hone in on like instructions from my higher self. What lights you up, Debbie? What lights you up? What is it that you're passionate about? What can you dive into? What can you focus on? And for me, um, in addition to Intuit Oracle, which is my business with Kimberly Aria, it was surprising though. I had been spending so much time and energy on that and finding myself in this 3D world, marketing algorithms. How do I get my product out there? Oh my gosh, we've run out of two products. How can we creatively reprint this deck? How can we improve it? All of this world stuff. And I did that for a while through all of the crazy sightings and I don't know, that's what I was doing all at the end of 2024, Kickstarters and bringing back 2 new decks. And interestingly enough, uh, we did reprint 2 decks out of the 3 that we're out of stock in right now, and they're on their way to us now, but everything kind of came to a screeching halt. Our hottest decks were gone. And even though things light me up about that business, what I realized was that's not the part that lights me up. I don't like dealing with that. I don't like dealing with how do we keep in stock and how do I get this deck into people's hands and how do I figure out how to maximize these marketing dollars and blah, blah. That's the stuff that I hate business. I'm just gonna say it. Um so so my inner being said, listen, I was able to sell a little bit of XRP because the price had gone up a good enough bit. And it was like, okay, you're going to have a little bit of a breathing space. What lights you up? And I really thought about it. And I'm like, reading cards, reading situations that's happening. The original blueprint that's coming in for the divine counterparts, the twin flames. I'm being catalyzed. I feel the energy of it. It lights me up. Um, So that's when I started to think about the zodiac readings. Okay. So I talk about this because I'm wondering if how many of you are experiencing this. I've talked often about creating pathways. I don't know as I've talked about this publicly much, but I do talk about it with my circle of friends that I've noticed that during this period of time of ascension, I've been naturally creating abundance paths. And it doesn't always need to be money as much as it is bringing me what I want, okay, which is abundance of anything. It can be friends, it could be good health, it could be reverse aging. Um, in order to create this as creator beings, we create pathways. And, an example is if I want to transform my body and I want to, reverse age or become timeless, which is my goal. My goal is to become timeless. I already feel like I'm getting there with a few wrinkles, but timeless, uh, that there's certain things that you do to create that pathway, right? Been doing distilled water for about 3 years now. I think that's one of the biggest changes I made that made a difference in my body and what I eat and stuff, and how it's processed. Going to the gym regularly, being very active, involved, bringing pathway of the kinds of foods I eat. What kind of blood type do I have? So this is creating pathways. And I feel that during this acceleration, we're actually building the new, and we're building the new by creating these pathways. So part of what I wanted to share and actually feel into with the collective of people that would be getting this message is how many of you find yourself building those pathways to something that really means something to you. Like if you were to just check out of all of the dynamics of what's going on, and if you could have the perfect world, what is it that you'd be focused on? And of course, for me, it's like the reverse aging, it's the health, it's embodying my highest physical expression. Why? Because my highest vibrational expression is landing, people. It's coming in. I wanted to have a safe place at the airport, no crashes, right? So that's an example of a pathway. Another pathway is social. If you want to draw to you a group of people, like-minded people, then you find places to go. Mine happens to be the same place that I go for the other stuff, so it's a gym. This is what I mean by pathways. So, one of the first coping skills and strategies that I found my inner being handing me, literally handing me on a silver platter, is what lights you up, Deb? What lights you up? And that's the first thing that I would say is tune into what lights you up. And you're creating pathways to new earth. You're creating pathways to what's on the flip side of what's happening. And then I want to share something that came with this creating these pathways. Once I shifted into the pathway of, say, the card readings, building my YouTube channel based on, card readings. Of course, I'm always going to do this. I started having to really look at things, look at myself in the mirror and say, what are some of the things that stop you? What are some of the things that get in your way? And what I found out is a lot of it was matrix thinking. Oh my gosh, my YouTube channel, I can't just do card readings. I have conversations with Hamish. I like doing roundtables. I like doing interviews and having cozy conversations with people like, you know, um, I was thinking, oh my gosh, my friend Alicia, like I can't remember Alicia Brochet. Gosh, but you know, I'm like, I can't be pinned down, man. You can't tell me what to do. And then I started to realize nobody's telling me what to do. I can do whatever I want to do. So I'm overcoming the matrix programming just by the very drive of being insistent upon doing what I want to do. And what I started to realize is as I started to embark on this journey of now I'm on like, I don't know, 27 videos in the last 30 days. Like what? I don't think I made that many videos in the last 2 years. But the focus drives you. It gives you that ambition, that excitement, that drive to push through all the other stuff. And you're like, X, I don't need to look at you right now. I want to get on and do my videos. But it also um forced me to look at myself in the mirror and say, what are the things that I still hate about myself? They showed up. Trust me, when you're going on video. Oh my gosh, it was so hard to get this video started because I'm like, I just want to have a conversation with my peeps. And and I want to be me and I want to be myself. But you got all these programs telling you, you got to show up this way, and you got to show up that way. How do you show up in your authentic way? This is another thing that you're working through when you're working with what lights you up. All right, so I want to talk about the energy and the drive and the momentum once you really find what lights you up. And if you haven't found what lights you up, go look for it. I've been talking about this, God, for years. What did you love to do as a kid? Where has this movie been taking you? What is it that floats your boat? And you're like, I can't do that. I need to make money. Yeah, well, the universe always provides. I know that that sounds cliche, but it does. I'm living proof of that. Had no idea how I was going to pay my rent, that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, I have to create videos. The lights come on. It starts coming on. I got to do this. That for me is what I wanted to share with you about. If you have not found what lights you up, you're probably working on it. That seems to be what the inner being is working with us now through all of the thunder. Oops, I just threw my papers all the way across the room. I'm wondering if there's anything that I haven't covered. I've covered that. All right, there's only one thing on here that I didn't cover. So you're on your path to creating these pathways. They're new earth for you. And that is a momentum that can push you through all the other stuff that is noise and distractions. But there is something that's going to happen, and that is you're going to have triggers. You're going to have those things that pop you in the face when you least expect it. And this is where something came to me real recently that I think is starting to happen automatically. And I want to share it with you because this is where we're headed. And I'm interested in, can anyone relate to this? And if not, I guess I'm maybe pre-paving something for you to be on the lookout, because I think that this is one of the greatest gifts that my higher self has given me. I've heard all about 0 point. I've heard all about, like going into the moment of now. Um, but the higher self is giving me active, like, watch this happen, Debbie. Watch this happen. And so you get into a situation. I'm gonna use an example. I'm not gonna use my own personal example that really showed it to me because it is quite personal. But I want you to think about, like, you're in a job and you all of a sudden find out one day your company is being bought out by someone else. And everything that you could possibly think of starts coming to your mind. "Ah, trigger this, trigger that. Oh my God, am I going to have a job?" And everyone around you is going, "Oh my God, what does this mean? It's a different kind of company. They run differently, blah, blah, blah." And it's a traumatic, it's a boom, it's a big old punch to you. What I have found is, and this is what happened to me, not in that situation, is that I had the initial things run through my head, the standard talk, and then I went into the void. Like, almost like when you go into shock. Um, it's a little bit more like everything goes quiet, everything goes still. You can see everything moving around you. You're not in shock because the difference is you're not shut down, you're actually online. And so all of the other stuff faded away. And so you're in this space, in this bubble. And then it's kind of like no thoughts. Just focus on what you're doing. You're focusing on the walk. When this happened to me, I happened to be in the gym. And so I can share that much. I was in the gym when I got kind of a shock to my system. And all of a sudden, I just went inward. And I started focusing on my exercises, and I started focusing on my breathing, and I started focusing on my music, and everything was still. In all of the things that my monkey mind, planetary mind brain wanted to scream, "Ah," it was quiet. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a relief.
All right,
Went into that stillness becomes available. And then it's almost like when you've had enough, enough of that steeping in the silence, in the mindless gibberish, you come out of it and it's like you've leveled up in a situation. And all of a sudden, you see it differently. And you're like, oh my gosh, this could be the best thing that ever happened. This is the case. This might be the case. Oh my gosh, I just had this happen. That might, I would have never even thought of that. And some of the thoughts that I was having about a situation are like, I might have even seen that from a completely incorrect perspective. And the way I'd like to compare this is to, I grew up in New York and we have the Erie Canal. And in the Erie Canal, in fact, I was just back last August and I went down the Erie Canal with a couple of my good friends. And what's really cool about it is you're going down the canal and then you get to this place where you got to either go down or raise up and you go into a lock. And in the lock, you sit in silence as the water just comes in, they fill it up, it's very quiet, moves you up. And as soon as you're there, the doors open and you keep going. And I couldn't help but think, this is something that's coming in. 0 point is coming in. This is what it showed up like for me. And boy, I'll tell you, it really made me understand the new tools that we've got coming in to go from the old way of being to the new way of being is that we no longer have to go into trauma. We no longer have to go, or let's say the trauma is sitting right there, but instead of trauma, we get this dissociative feeling like we're not attached to the situation. But it's not that feeling of, like, oh, you leave your body to avoid a negative, like you're running away. It's actually like you're immersing in your higher self, and your higher self is saying, I got you. There's not a thing that's happening to you right now that even makes a slight bit of difference to who you are, what you're about, what you want, where you're going. It's this stillness. This is the higher self. This is this is the shift from the old to the new. It's the water in the lock that levels you up and gets you to see things from a new perspective. So I want to say that that right there is my most recent experience that I did want to share, because if you're not experiencing this, if you've heard about zero point, if you've heard about the void and you have yet to experience it, that's what it means. And I can only imagine that it gets more and more profound. And one of the things that I feel brought that in or came in simultaneously, it was kind of coming in at the same time, was this immersion in creative expression. It's this really focusing on that which lights you up as that driving force, as the accelerant to push you through what is really turbulent times. It feels like we're giving birth. And oh God, I won't go into that. Like I just started thinking, yeah, how painful birth was for me, because I wasn't dilating, and they were giving me Pitocin, which accelerates it, and there were no epidurals, and trauma. And this is the birthing process that you can tune into if you're focusing just on the outer world and you're not lighting yourself up with the things that bring you passion, the things that you would do regardless of the money. It's kind of like so anyways, I think I've driven that point home. The other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly before I close this video, I'm going to do another video that's exclusively about this. It really is very much in alignment with what I've just been talking about, is when you are coming into alignment with that which lights you up, you are also aligning yourself with your counterpart, because the counterpart energy is the feminine and masculine balance between two people that came in to play this game together. And what I have been picking up, and this has been going back for about, I don't know, maybe 6 to 9 months, is that regardless of your experience, whether you had a twin flame catalytic heart awakening, or whether you've just been, knowing that you've always wanted to find that special person, and we've been in a disempowerment chamber where the relationships have been really more about conveyor belt. Nothing became more apparent than, I ran into a bunch of very good looking guys that I used to go to school with, that are now, a lot older, and, they're still my peeps. But the conversation was, well, who'd you marry? Why'd you get married? And I even had one ask me, do you date married men? And I'm like, no, but he's married. Okay. So the whole consensus was that they got on a conveyor belt. Well, it was that time to get married, and that one was just as good as anyone else. And I got married and we made a life together. And I'm like, okay, that's the template that most people were on. People like me were never on that template. It was always searching, 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 and knowing that there's that person. And those energies are very much in play again. Uh, People that were on the counterpart journey way back in 2012, 2014, into 2017, 18, who I worked with as friends, as a counselor, as a guide. There were a lot of you out there. Just saying. Remember, like 100,000 people in a particular Facebook group. All right. There were a lot of people out there, and I was very connected with a lot of them. A lot of them are being rekindled again. They're realizing I can't settle. I need to move back into this energy of knowing I'm feeling the call of that person. So I want to say that these energies are really in play because as I look at the disempowerment chamber and the polarity that exists here, that everything was built on, it was built on the division of these beings. You take one part that masculine and one part feminine, and you take them apart. What have you got? Ultimate duality. And then we have the duality within us that we're balancing. So the fact that we're in this extensive healing journey, these energies have been in play for me for about 9 months. Uh, and what's interesting is that, I've never had past life, an interest in past lives. I've had several good friends that have been very, connected to past lives. I found myself being immersed in the Outlander series, which is the ultimate twin flame, the ultimate counterpart kind of, a lot of people call it the chick flick or whatever. But that it is about the sacred counterparts, and it is completely activating me as to what this looks like. So that's another thing I'm interested in finding out. How many of you are feeling the call? It doesn't have to be the original person that catalyzed you. It could be someone completely new, or it could be someone that you don't even have a clue who it is. But those energies are coming in super strongly. If you follow any of my readings, every single one of my zodiac readings has the love portion, the new relationship blueprint, where your person's at. And just to give, since we're in an energy update, I just want to say that the masculine, they're getting their asses kicked. To they're having to face things that they've been unable to face at this point. So, hey, while we're accelerating everything on the planet, why not accelerate that as well? Um, I can give you an example. A really dear friend of mine, family member, had to put his cat to sleep, and he was wondering why he was getting so emotional about it. It's like, I'm being a baby. I'm being a wimp. I'm showing weakness, and I don't know why. And I was like, well, did you think about the fact that you have lots and lots and lots of grief? Everything in this person's life had been pressing down and no release. One simple thing that the universe sent to him, and I was there when he did put the cat to sleep and held him while he sobbed and racked with sobs, and I'm like, "Your heart's been closed. Your heart's been closed because you've been shutting it down because of all the pain and all the grief that you won't let out. You need to let this out." So this is just one very small example about how the distortion in this world, in this upside down dystopian nightmare circus, is really about the masculine energies, the feminine energies. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, if you're leaning in the feminine energy and you've done the spiritual work, um, you're still having work to do with the masculine energies, balancing those. But those who have not done this work, it's the masculine energy that's really, really going to town on them right now. And that's where a lot of this global stuff, this global pressure is coming in. And I guess I'm saying this to those of you who would identify as having done all of that feminine work, working on their masculine, being in preparation for a divine counterpart, and you're sitting there going, "Where is this person? Why aren't they showing up?" Please just know that until they get to that space, anything that shows up in terms of relationship is going to contain distortion. And if it contains distortion, then it cannot really show up in the way that it needs to. But the original blueprint is being installed by each and every one of us that is going through this process at the global, at the personal level, and then at the, I want to say, the very breakdown of the spiritual is the divine feminine masculine union. That's the ultimate projection of ourselves into another that shows us that we are the creator beings we are. How can we look into a distorted mirror and see who we are, especially if you've been working through your distortions? So, I really want to wrap this up by saying, please have patience. Spend some time connecting with the energy of that person. That person is there. They have, some are delays, some are just natural openings at certain places. Um, but I can tell you right now that energy is coming in. It is the ultimate destination as we go from the sleeping state to the awakening state in a way that doesn't break our brain. So, whew, I can't believe I got through that whole energy report without breaking down. You guys have no idea how much information comes into me. And I have a lot of conversations with my dear friends where I articulate a lot of things that I know would be so helpful for the collective, but to get me to a place where I can actually sit in front of the camera and articulate it all without going, oh my gosh, settling down, being in that flow, it takes me a bit. I really do think I need a camera set up from here up in the shower. I do think that would help. All right, so I'm going to wrap up the energy report there. I I'm finishing up my second round of zodiac videos. These zodiac videos are for sun, moon, ascendant, or if the title draws you, if it speaks to you. Because I've been saying in these videos, listen, we're an amalgamation of a bunch of zodiac soup. So there could be a message in, I have this much Virgo. It keeps me like able to do what I do because I have this much Virgo. Well, Virgo reading has something for me in there. So I think I'm probably going to continue those. I may start doing some fire sign, fire energy. I like tuning into the energy of the zodiac because there's a particular perspective that a person comes from, so they see things a particular way. But again, we're all elevating. Those zodiac are expanding. They're shifting. So I may go to fire signs and air signs and water signs. I've definitely decided I need to keep doing energy reports. I need to do, I want to do readings on things like XRP. What's happening? I'm just not limiting myself. The other thing you'll be seeing on my channel is cozy conversations as I have time for 'em. The next one up, Hamish Bartholomeus. So we're gonna do that really soon. He's been kind of like wiggling, like he's out there going, oh, I don't know. And it's like, oh yes, you. He's like, we're doing a video. I was like, yes. So we're gonna do that. Yeah, I guess I'll leave the reading there, or the reading. I guess I'll leave the energy report there. I appreciate you. If you've stuck with me, you've really been a trooper. This has been a long video. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Please let me know if anything that I'm saying is helpful to you. I think that that's, when I create pathways, my pathways for doing these has never been about money. I don't think I've ever made any money doing these videos. It's not about money for me. It is about knowing that what I'm going through, what I'm able to articulate, the perspectives that I'm able to give, that it makes a difference. That's all I care about. I'm here to know that I made a difference. I'm not here to save you, but it could be a signpost, or I could just give you, hey, you're here on the map and you might be wanting to go there on the map. And I see a real easy way to get there. You want to know what it is? That kind of thing. So, anyways, if you have made it all the way through, and I didn't say this at the beginning, please, please give my video a thumbs up, share it with a friend. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please, I would love to have you as part of my community. And thank you again for being here. Until the next video, take care.